All right, welcome. This is the Genesee County Compassion Club show. Thanks for joining us. Woo! Woo! Back in the studio.
Yes.
Don't you know?
It's been a while.
It has.
Hey.
It's been getting summer going. It's hot as can be outside.
Mm-hmm.
A little hot in the studio today. Not too bad though. Got the fan action. John's back working it for us.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That kind of
This
camera
is
there.
cool. Is that it's still on, right? The fan.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we have fan action.
Fan action.
Do we have fans out there?
I don't know.
I don't know. Are we on Ustream, John? Right?
Yeah, I sent a thing too. They start at 3. So.
Are you looking for fans?
Yeah.
You see any fans out there? Invite them in. Fans, how you doing? No, we're looking for fans.
You can always turn that one up too. The one that's in there, you can turn up the
Oh,
volume.
no, not those kind of fans. The kind that listen to our show.
Oh yeah. We have some of these too.
All right.
Yeah. Here's one fan.
There's one. There's two. We have 2
Yeah.
fans at least.
That's what I'm talking about. We're around the club, right?
There we go.
Yeah. What's
I don't
up,
know if
guys?
they're at.
Well, if we are, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, shalom.
They're probably confused. They're probably like,
Hello, shalom.
what is this we're hearing in the radio? There's people talking.
Hello, shalom.
Ooh,
Maybe we should
popcorn.
call, feed into the club live.
Yeah.
See if we're feeding in anywhere. And if we even sound okay. I don't know if the fan's going to work.
I don't know.
Let's find out.
Aim it downward.
I don't know about that. Start a fire.
Call him G-Money.
G-Money.
Bows.
Bows.
Talking about the bows.
Calling the bows.
This popcorn is delish.
It's microwave. High quality. Very tasty.
We had the chef make it.
So good.
Yes.
Chef Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
Getting no love.
Let's see. I know who we can call.
Jammy. There you go.
Jammy.
Yeah, I'm gonna call Chelsea.
Yeah. Want to get done, call ladies.
Call Chelsea, shake it. Jammy. Jammy. Hello. Hey, I was wondering if you'd have any political info for our show today. No? What? Do you have any political stuff that you want us to share on the show today? All right. Kim
Kardashian?
Gaidaki. All right. New director at Lara. All right.
Kim Kardashian?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's good news. All right, cool. Anything else we should share? Okay. Okay. We'll plan a spot for you. Maybe even next week we could have you come down here. That would be a good thing. Okay, cool. If you could get that through Jamie, and that way we make sure we have someone there to cover for you, and then that would work out great. Cool. Thanks, Charles. All right. Yep. Bye.
Oh, you should have her go next door.
Huh?
Should have had to go next door.
Well, I wasn't thinking they'd be able to hear. So that was Chelsea, our political correspondent at the club, Chelsea Baby Shaker.
Yes.
And she was saying that she had corresponded with the Lara department, talked to the people there. Kim Geideke is the new director at Lara, and she is taking over the review panel process because the old panel broke up. They didn't follow the rules, so they broke up. And the petitions that were petitioned at the time, PTSD and Parkinson's. Yep. They were turned down because they said, well, we didn't follow the rules. Well, the chamber process didn't follow the rules. So they dissolved the panel, turned down the petitions. Now, fortunately, the people that applied for Parkinson's and for PTSD, they are going to be able to reapply, and they're going to review those again. She also said the director there, Kim Geideke, is going to be responsible for getting together the new panel, and that they're actively working on forming the new panel.
And this is the panel you're talking about, the mystery panel that's been almost 4 years, and they put together, what, last year? That's supposed to be government or state ran?
This is like over 4 years running now. We're supposed to be able to have a panel to review, to add conditions, you know, for people that might have something that could benefit, like PTSD or Parkinson's.
I just thought that whole panel was a myth.
It still is.
Still is.
You know, if we'll see if the new director down there can make something happen, and if it ever gets in front of or if it ever actually, you know, gets processed. I mean, it's just kind of frustrating. You've had this law for 5 years, and they finally get a panel together, and then they say they're breaking their own rules, and therefore they can't make a decision on whether or not to add this. And it's like they're making their own rules, breaking them, and then saying, now we can't follow our process that we're supposed to follow because we're breaking the rules. Well, you made the rules up on how this is supposed to go. The law was pretty clear, and you know they're really trying to throw in a technicality. I read the portion that they drew from to say that they needed to have a medical director there from Lara, and they were saying that they were missing a particular person of position in the panel, and they didn't have that person that this should have been there. Well, the gentleman that was running the panel from the start seemed to be a very astute man. He had made himself a binder about that thick, you know, of rules for the panel. And, you know, here we are with this giant process now, and they couldn't even follow their own process.
Jeez.
So now these people, you know, they had asked to have Parkinson's added on as a qualifying condition for medical marijuana. You know, ultimately they have to go through and apply again. And I know that the petition that they were reviewing at that time with the first panel, there you go. Yeah, the condition that they reviewed, it's with the first panel there, that was the second petition that those people had sent in. The first set of petitions were all just thrown away. So they made them reapply.
Wow.
They took the people who did actually reapply into consideration and whittled them all down to those two people that they had, you know, for PTSD and Parkinson's. So, at any rate, it's more stalling by the state. It's kind of frustrating there.
It's kind of funny how, like, everything with this law that has either been not done properly or has been put too much money into and not been resolved has all been on the state's end. Like, everything the state has been doing to uphold their part of the law has been either dragged out. Like, I mean, if this was any normal business, they would have been fired a long time ago. Like, for this kind of performance. I mean,
That's amazing.
it's really bad. Like, I want to...
Yeah, that's Jamie.
Nice. Jam. Hey, can you guys hear us at the club?
Hold on, I don't even think you're testing on her.
Yeah, I didn't think we were
I
on.
will ever carry on.
It's alright, just tell her don't do it now.
Don't do it now. We'll just wait till next time. Jam.
You could hear her very well when you were talking, or when she was talking to you, you could hear her very well in the mic, so.
Nice.
What?
Okay, you're letting you know, okay?
Alright, hey, actually, you're all good right now. If you guys can't get it up, we'll just do it next week.
Well, we just yeah, want me to turn it on then?
What?
Turn it on?
I can't hear what she's
Turn it
saying.
on?
I don't care.
Yeah, turn it on. Go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead, yeah.
Right.
Just have no idea when it's going to be coming on now. That's alright.
Wasn't that coming out now?
Well, now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright. Thanks, Jim.
So, Clint, talk.
Talk. Can you hear us now?
Flint talk.
It's not too loud?
It's still
It's Ustream.
Ustream.
Yep.
Ustream.
Well, if she just goes to Flint Talk Radio, she should be able to see us too.
Or Flint Talk Radio.
Oh yeah,
okay.
go to Flint Talk Radio. You're all good. Sorry, that was my bad. Jump the gun. Those popcorn are sure delicious.
It gets you hooked, don't it?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, well, she's getting that hooked up. Did you guys know that, pull this up here, there was some guys that had some recent approvals out here. I know Nevada was one of them.
Nice.
They got some dispensary ordinances approved out there. And then I know that, I think it was Vermont or Virginia. I think it was Vermont. Got another law approved for medical marijuana.
Very nice.
Let's see here. Pull this up. Yeah, here we go. This is what it was. First 2 Vermont dispensaries are now open for business. See that on there on Top of the Town?
Yes.
And there was Oregon medical marijuana dispensary regulation bill. So it's a dispensary regulation bill. Oregon already has medical marijuana. That was sent to the Senate there. Kind of interesting. Wow.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. My computer does not want to work fast with
Mexico City to consider marijuana legalization.
Mm-hmm. Might as well, right?
Oh, this is it. New Hampshire close to medical marijuana laws.
Nice.
Home cultivation off the table.
New Hampshire's up near Maine, right? Like on the geography.
It's like right by Maine.
Cool. That's what I figured.
I'm gonna go with what he said. Maine. I was thinking it's by Vermont.
What's that, Jamie? Awesome, thank you. How we sound? Do we sound absolutely ridiculous, or do we sound kosher?
Sound kosher.
You sound kosher.
Kosher ridiculous.
Coming from the east side of Dodge City.
Butte City.
They call it Dodge City though too.
Oh, okay.
Dodging bullets.
Ah, right. Yeah. No, now it's Dodge City.
Yes.
Alright, well, this is New Hampshire House and Senate both approved medical marijuana bills this past session. The differences between the 2 proposals were big enough that the 2 legislative bodies are forced to hammer out their differences in a joint committee. They had to get together
joint committee.
Joint committee. Biggest point of contention was that a provision in the House bill that would have patients and caregivers cultivate their own supply, and the rule was stripped from the Senate bill. House leaders had let it fall by the wayside in exchange for Senate approving additional marijuana centers. So this bill that's getting approved in New Hampshire.
Sounds
Cool.
clear? Alright, thank you, Jam. Alright.
Alright.
Cool. Thank you. Bye.
Alright, so if you're in New Hampshire, you don't have marijuana yet for medical uses, but they're working on it. And basically, the toss-up is whether or not you're going to be able to cultivate your own as a patient or caregiver. Looks like that might not be an option for the people in New Hampshire, that they might have 4 state-run dispensaries. Now, I can tell you the 4 state-run dispensaries is like a business plan almost, in the sense that some states are going this option, some states go with the option like Michigan did. Arizona was one of those, I think, or New Mexico, and basically it's a disaster. I mean, the patients there are not getting the medication. Some of them are having exceptions, like New Mexico has an exception if you're not within a certain vicinity of a provisioning center, and you can provide your own, but it kind of makes a hassle. Really, I think they should just let people cultivate their own, because now they get a law passed and then they have to wait for 2, 3, sometimes 4 years before these centers are operational or approved or regulated. And, you know, so what good does that do somebody who needs relief today?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of unfortunate. It does give them legal protection for possession, so that's good. It says here that patients would, certain conditions, they can hold up to 2 ounces of cannabis at a time, and then dispensaries would be capped at 80 plants apiece, and would only be able to have up to 80 ounces of dried marijuana at a time. So you can imagine if you have 4 dispensaries in a state, and each one of them is limited to 80 ounces and 80 plants, you know, basically you're not going to be getting medication. It's just you know that's not going to work. Poorly crafted there, in comparing needs to resources. So these state provided, when there are 4 licensed shops here, says a new worded bill makes it illegal for patients to possess marijuana unless it comes from one of the 4 licensed shops.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so patients who have a recommendation from a doctor who are caught with herb before the shops open would still face criminal charges. So it's kind of a crappy bill there. I mean, I hope the folks in New Hampshire can get it modified to where it still makes sense. I mean, why provide any legal protection for medicinal uses if it isn't actually going to protect the people who need it? You know, it's like, well, you can do this, but only if, you know, it's not cloudy on that day, and it's a guessing game. So it needs to have some common sense enacted in there, and I think, you know, we've seen some of the same frustrations here in Michigan. We had that recent update from Bill Schuette. I know some people online are talking about that. It was a Michigan State Police update regarding medical marijuana. This is one of many that's been sent out. It goes over the People versus Kuhn case, which is the gentleman was charged with operating under the influence in Michigan's zero tolerance law. They're trying to say that, you know, just because he has a medical marijuana card, he wouldn't be protected because he has marijuana in his blood when he's driving. So therefore, you know, he shouldn't be driving a vehicle under Michigan's zero tolerance law. And what the judges ruled, the Supreme Court judges ruled, was that, well, while Mr. Kuhn did have a zero tolerance law, however, he was not under the influence of marijuana. He had it in his blood, which that is protected by law, by the medical marijuana law. Internal possession is protected. Of course, operating under the influence is not protected, and that's what the judges were saying, was that, of course, he is not protected to be operating, you know, impaired or anything like that. What the text says basically is that you have to be able to prove the guy is impaired or under the influence to be able to charge him as being under the influence, which, I don't know, to me that makes perfect sense. If someone's under the influence, then you ought to be able to charge them with that. Or if they're being charged with being under the influence, then you ought to be able to tell that they're under the influence. So I know that there's argument there for blood alcohol testing and saliva testing and so forth. In fact, I think there was a story about that here. This is off of tokathetown.com. You can check out some more of their stories.
The DUI one?
It was the saliva testing that they're trying to do. And I know that we've got a few senators in Michigan that are really hot on this because they like to buy toys for law enforcement. It's like their thing that they do with tax money. So, but anyways, yeah, they're roadside testing, and you know, they do it with either saliva or blood, and then they want to see, you know, what your blood alcohol cannabinoid content would be, and they check out nanograms of active cannabinoid compounds within your blood or within your urine stream. This is kind of interesting. The story that goes along with this is that the feds are doing a nationwide survey here, I guess, or something. CNN released a story. They're doing blood and saliva draws. It's done on a volunteer basis, but the thing is they pull people over. This is in Alabama. And of course, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration partners with off-duty sheriff's deputies to stop traffic and then divert willing participants to researchers. And if you provide saliva, they give you $10. If you provide blood, they give you $50. So, but the ACLU is challenging this, saying, how voluntary is it when the police officer in uniform flags you down? You know, are you going to stop your car or not? So, kind of interesting there, and I'm obviously the testing there, trying to see how many people are, you know, driving down the road with some type of substance in their blood or their urine. And I'm sure they're probably not just looking for cannabis; they're probably looking for any type of thing in the substance or any type of substance in the blood.
Yeah, there would definitely be a concern about color of authority when they're in a uniform, they're in a cop car, pulling you over, you know, or waving you over. Like, the consideration of, do I have the ability to refuse this or not, is not going to be. I don't think that's going to be actually in the people's mind. They think they're going to have to submit to it.
Well, I mean, they are offering money, you know, to the person for the participation, so there has to be some type of a understanding there. I'm sure they have to sign some kind of a waiver, you know, to transfer bodily fluids. I'm sure it's not just here spit in a cup. I mean, anytime I've donated blood or had to do any kind of urine test or anything like that, it's always been very sanitary and so forth. So I understand the premise of the article. I don't like the invasion of privacy. Not a big fan of that. I would probably say no thank you. But if it is being presented in a involuntary way, you know what I mean? Who knows? Who's to say? It is kind of difficult. If you have it's kind of like when the police or the firemen call your house and they're like, hey, this is so-and-so from the fire department and we need a donation. And, you know, there was a lawsuit about that a couple years ago, and some people were being untruthful, you know, and scamming folks, essentially, getting their money to, you know, it's not really going to the fire department, it's going to some other thing. But, you know, at any rate, I can see both sides of the story on that one. You know what I mean? It just kind of depends on, but you're the one volunteering, you know, you're giving them money. Drive away, I guess. Don't go to Alabama.
Yeah, people there who live there would probably say, let's get out of here.
Yeah. Well, and we had a little roadside blockage going on here a couple summers ago. I think they were doing like some sort of random test, I think it was, on the side of the road, our own sheriff's department. And I know that they had enough complaints and they stopped it. So maybe this is the same thing here, you know.
Yeah, I think Michigan's got a law that's not supposed to, our law's not supposed to allow for this random road checks, isn't it? Our
right,
law,
no,
yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's an invasion of privacy. You can't just go randomly start checking people for stuff.
Yeah, we just want to check. It's for your own good.
Right, I just, what? No, I mean, I'm not getting on an airplane, I'm driving down the road. But you know what? Back in the days, they used to do the vehicle checks. Remember those?
Yep.
My mom told me about those. You know, you had to pull over, make sure you had brakes working, and now you just get fix-it tickets. But I mean, with the magnitude of vehicles nowadays,
See, North Carolina, they did
I
it.
figured.
They did it where I mean, it was completely just a mess for everyone, because you had to get your car certified every year, get them inspected, and you get a little sticker on the front of your windshield. Well, every once in a while you'd be driving home, and all of a sudden there'd be like a pile of cars through the actual subdivisions and such. They just pick random spots throughout the city, and they put up roadblocks, and then they have you come through, and if you don't have your sticker up to date, they pull you over right then, they'll search you, they'll give you a ticket for that, they'll give you a ticket for whatever else they can get you on. So it's always a good thing to have your sticker up to date. Because they just flag you right through with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just kind of blew my mind the first time I pulled up on, like, what the hell is this? Like, roadblock for what? Check my sticker? What? Like, can't they tell that I already went and paid to have my sticker done? It's in some way through the DMV.
Great Scott!
It's ridiculous.
Governor Scott signed the ban. This is the governor from Florida. Starting July 1st,
Yeah.
you won't be able to buy bongs in
No,
Florida.
can't buy bongs, but you can buy them as long as they're for tobacco. So if you have any speaking about marijuana or anything else you could smoke out of a pipe, they will not sell you a bong no more. But if you go in there and say, hey, that percolated double slide tobacco bubbler looks pretty sweet, you can still buy it. Which is just like in Michigan pretty much. And a lot of places have always lived by that rule. I mean, every place I've ever been to, any other state, has always been the same courtesy. You talk about tobacco. Even though there's like big pot leaf flags and shit hanging inside. Never made sense to me.
Sentiment here from an employee in Florida here saying if you come in referencing illegal substances and they can't, you know, can't sell to you. I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
I love it when we have to have laws for common sense.
They had a thing here too about Colorado's DUI bill.
Yeah.
About how the two directors, the one for the medical facility, and then the lady who kept pushing for the 5 nanograms, they both resigned just recently, and their report on all their toxicologies, reports on people's nanogram levels and stuff in their blood and saliva, none of them have been released yet, and it's supposed to be ready in March. So all these people are falling off the face of the earth. These reports aren't getting brought out, and what they're pretty much wheeling towards is that they kind of shot themselves in the foot trying to think that they're going to set a limit and not have proper testing facilities and shit set up, or know how to properly do it. So I mean, it sounds like that whole thing might be falling apart. I know here that it went 3 times before it got passed, or the 3rd time it got passed, their DUI law. You might see that one get thrown out here in a little bit.
We'll see.
Like you said, though, I mean, same with alcohol. It's supposed to be a standard that if you look impaired, you're driving over the center line, you're doing 55 and a 25, you're driving on your neighbor's lawn, or you're driving down the sidewalk, I mean, that's a great reason for someone to be pulled over and probably question on your sobriety. And if sobriety, sorry. And if you're not sober, and they can tell, be like, hey, I pulled you over and you parked your car in this guy's front lawn here, and I see you ran over his mailbox and 2 trees. You feeling all right? That might be grounds to wonder if the guy's a little too intoxicated to be driving. But if you just randomly walk up to someone or at a stoplight, you drive up, and all of a sudden they're just doing random checks, and they, hey, you look a little funny, boy. That doesn't mean anything to me. Like that's just blatant invasion of your privacy. I hate that. I don't know. I've been tattered one time with an OUI bill, or an OUI ticket for drinking. I literally had a beer and a half in my system. I blew under the limit. I blew a .069 and a .07 at my highest. And the judge threw out the DUI, and the prosecuting attorney already had an OUI on there. Luckily, I had a good attorney, but like that, they're sticking me with an OUI even though I wasn't drunk.
Well, you could live in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Right? They just toughened their marijuana driving laws this week.
Yeah.
It says here, creating a limit of 0. So they're trying to really cut it off before it even happens. Oklahoma doesn't have any medical marijuana or anything like this, but it says here, if you have any marijuana or marijuana metabolites in your system whatsoever, you are guilty automatically of driving under the influence. So if it says here in the article, and I gotta agree, if it wasn't already on your list of life rules, do not drive through Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, Ohio, all the ones with O's suck.
Oklahoma's just a terrible state to drive through anyways, despite their laws.
Mm-hmm.
Boring.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, we've got Arizona Craigslist full of illegal medical marijuana posts.
No.
Want to not do that, okay?
That's awesome.
And then, see this here, Obama administration has spent nearly $300 million busting marijuana.
Yeah, that one, they're just ripping at him.
See, Senator Ron Wyden blames marijuana users for federal industrial hemp bill failure. How is that? Probably the ones who brought it to him.
Mm-hmm.
It says here, Oregon Senator Ron Wyden wagged his finger in shame not at the closed-minded Senate that wouldn't work with him, but at marijuana users. He thinks that because marijuana users are prone to being pro-hemp, that the two issues are seen as one and the same, and clearly it's the pot smokers' fault, according to Wyden, not the ignorant elected officials. Wyden introduced an amendment to the upcoming federal farm bill back in May that would have removed hemp from Controlled Substances Act, where it sits alongside cannabis and other cousins. Last week, the Senate refused to move the hemp amendment forward for a vote, obviously because of its affiliation with marijuana. So, I'm not sure how that would be marijuana activists' problem, or medical marijuana is certainly not to blame for. I think it's the other way around. We've had this discussion at the club too. I mean, industrial hemp is really the cat getting out of the bag. So, we'll see here. Senator Ron Wyden, we're sure that it was the smokers' fault. Don't blame yourself. You're the legislator. I'm sure you can do no wrong.
Man. I just really wonder what goes on in some people's heads and like how they come up with some of their thoughts and ideas and like just blame everyone else. And then how people can come through a lot of these crazy laws they want to do. Like,
well, this is a report from the Huffington Post. It's ACLU. It says here that the report, alarming figures from the report, $20 billion is the amount that states will spend enforcing marijuana laws over the next 6 years. $20 billion.
Whoa.
900, the minimum per capita cost spent by California, Nevada, and Washington on criminal justice for marijuana offenders. Wow.
That's per state, right?
That's per capita.
No, I mean, you said 20 billion.
Yeah, 20 billion.
A state will spend?
No, all states.
All right, now how much in 5 years is our schools down right now? Like, how much money would it take to help our schools get back up
I
on
don't
their feet? I mean, we put a lot of money into things that really aren't panning out, but yet we have other parts of our society we're stripping money away from.
Well, it says right here, this good example of that, $750 is what the average cost is for a state to make a marijuana arrest. That's what it costs the state.
Wow.
Yep.
You could feed a person off that for a whole month and let them live and everything. I mean, not feasibly, but you could. Especially if you could feed them hemp products.
One marijuana arrest every 42 seconds.
Holy moly.
So those are, of course, yeah. And, you know, obviously people could be getting arrested for other things. You know, and they just happen to have weed with them, so now that's included in the report. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt. But it certainly doesn't add to the... It certainly does add to the problem, I think is what we have to see. And it's not a money maker for government, it's a cost.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cost to society, and then it's a cost that we're not it's an opportunity that's not being capitalized on, like industrial hemp.
Well,
You know?
you're partially right about the not being a moneymaker part. You have to clarify that it's not a moneymaker for the whole of the country. It's a moneymaker for a select few that are in power of our country. Because that's why it won't disappear. I mean, I know we keep spending so much money on stuff, and we keep talking about how much they spend on this drug fighting and stuff, and it doesn't come back to help the country at all. But don't forget, guys, there is people out there who are making money hand over fist with this drug war going on. They're the ones that don't want it to end. They're the few that are in power. You know, remember that 1% thing that went on for a while about, oh, the 1% of wealthy people are going to rule the other 99% unless we step up. Well, that 1% is also the ones that are still making money. So anytime you question why something's being wasted on, it's not always being wasted in the sense of everyone's eyes. But we have to step up for it and take it back, I think.
Absolutely. Look at this. This is a new proposed Canadian medical marijuana rules. So if you're in Canada and you want medical marijuana, you have to go through what's called Health Canada. Well, they have new rules that are being proposed that eliminate home growing for medical marijuana patients in Canada. If they want any medication at all in Canada, if this bill passes, they will have to get it through licensed Health Canada growers. Now, 75% of the cannabis that is available through licensed growers in Canada is already being provided by Prairie Plant Systems. So this is a government subsidized monopoly, and they are trying to get their digs in here in Michigan and other states around the country. So we have to fight this kind of a thing here. People need to be able to provide their own medication to themselves when they can safely do so, and they certainly can safely do so.
And I'm not talking trash about Prairie. I mean, I'd like to talk trash about them, but I really doubt that they can rival some of the good growers I know that can produce high quality, medicinally procured, safe medication.
I totally agree, but I think the more important argument is the fact that if you have the ability to take care of yourself, you should be able to.
Yeah, you should.
You know, obviously that would be, you know, with all good do things. You know, like you know, if you taking care of yourself means that you know your neighbor's somehow going to die.
Yeah.
Well, then that's not a good thing. We're not going to allow that. But this is growing a plant for yourself.
It's like growing vegetables.
Something that is completely 100% harmless, good for you, good for the earth. And you're not allowed to do that. You have to buy it from the government. How arcane is that kind of a concept?
Well, it's monopoly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no different than what the General Mao did. I mean, you can grow that rice, but don't you eat it.
Yep.
But we have nothing. I don't care if you have anything to eat. It's just ridiculous. So hopefully we don't let that kind of thing happen.
Yeah, if you're watching on, you have people in Canada, or if you can hear us in Canada, stand up for this. Like, I look up to you guys in Canada as having like some rights that, you know, some of us here in America don't always have. Yeah, I love America, don't get me wrong, but like I always looked at Canada as being this really cool place right above us that was like, yeah, Canada's cool. But if this happens, it would totally change my whole opinion about Canada. Period. You guys have like,
I don't like you anymore.
You guys have the freedom thing going. You guys have the cool area, the nice crimeless compared to what I'm used to area. Just a beautiful country. I mean, you guys can't let this happen. This is terrible. Man. And they're doing it. Are they doing it through their healthcare system too? So that way, if you're getting it through this company, is it going to be provided for like through their healthcare plan? Because they have their normal health care Because that would even make it even worse. Like, if you're going to tell me now I have to go to a place that you're monopolizing and buy my medicine from with no money. Now, I can see, like, if they're saying, like, oh, you know, we're trying to help you guys have access to stuff on your Canadian health plan, I could see a point in that, not still liking it, but, like, that would really make me piss off. Now I had to go to only one place that you guys provide and pay for it out of my pocket at high
Well, you
prices.
probably got to pay for it.
But, yeah, but they have their open health
I got you,
care.
because it's like free health
And
care.
this is going to be like a Canadian health, or
I don't know.
ran thing, so I mean, they...
But you pay for it anyways.
Well, I know you pay for it, but it's a little different, you know. You still pay
Okay,
for
so
it.
you can get it from free from the government, or you can get it for free from yourself.
You can't get... You gotta remember, though, here in America, we used to get screwed by high prices of ridiculous stuff.
Oh yeah, because Canada's so cheap.
They do have... I did watch a report though, and they do have their insurance over there. It's a little more like going to like a buffet. You can pick and choose the coverage.
Dude, I went over to
want.
Canada, man, and a pack of cigarettes was $14, okay?
We're trying to make it be healthy.
Not cheap over there, I'll tell you that. Hey, maybe you want to go to New York. I've got some friends out in New York. I think you do too.
Mhm.
The General Assembly approved a bill allowing medical marijuana use in the Empire State.
Nice.
So looks like they've got a bill on the table in New York.
That's about time, because I know New York has one of the highest arrest rates for marijuana. Sorry,
And
not
New York
medical.
City is just...
Yeah, they have one of the
Trump City.
highest. And then you have, a lot of people forget
But
New
this
York
is for
City.
medical marijuana, it's not just for general.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but that will help, I think, hopefully cut down a lot of arrest rates, because you have a lot of these people who are previous patients or could be patients because of their medical conditions.
Right.
So hopefully now they'll have protection, and hopefully the New York, you know, I mean, that's a big population in the city.
Well, it says here this is the fourth time that the state assembly has passed a medical
Mhm.
marijuana bill, so, you know, don't get your hopes up too high. But hopefully, you know, the Senate, which is
Mhm.
like the other half of the government there in New
Mhm.
York, they'll get around to doing something. But, so, if you're in New York, now's the time to call your senator, let them know,
Yep.
hey, this needs to be done.
Yes.
And there was an assemblywoman, Deb Glick, and she described how her sister benefited from cannabis during her chemotherapy treatments. She testified at the hearing. So, looks like they got some friends there in the legislature in New York. So that's
Mhm.
cool.
You know, that does help, guys. If you guys know anyone who's in politics and they've ever been any bit involved with the positive side of marijuana and medical marijuana, always help, you know, push them a little bit to speak up about it. Time is done to be scared about that kind of stuff. The more and more politicians you get that actually experience this on their own, the more it turns their opinion on stuff, and they kind of have common sense come and set into place. Like, oh wow, it made my family member happy. It made them be able to live longer. They actually told me how well they were, you know, they were responding to it, and they weren't dying from all the pills I was feeding them.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
wow.
There was a study that just came out that said more and more teens were dying from prescription pills.
Oh yeah.
You know. Here's something positive though. You guys like MMA fighting and stuff?
Yeah.
The Ultimate Fighting Championship fighters can now tote cannabis.
Nice. Was that because of
Excellent.
Nick Diaz?
I think so.
Remember, he kept getting suspended.
Well,
for
it aligns with UFC,
Yep.
so this is, well, yeah, it is UFC.
Yep.
It's UFC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
It says
he-
here they raised the threshold of marijuana allowable from 50 nanograms to 150.
Alright.
So
Better-
basically, as long as they're not smoking right before they get
Yep.
into a fight, which we've talked about this before. I mean, their alternative is to use opiates. I mean, they can have them. Believe me, MMA fighters, especially at this kind of level here, world-class fighters,
Shoot.
they're going to be able to get whatever kind of prescription drugs they want to get
that
the pain to
got
go away,
rid of it.
swelling to go down, all of that. You know, within 10 years they'll be dead or have their kidneys
Mhm.
shutting down on them. So this is a good thing for them to be able to use an alternative.
It's awesome.
Obviously, they're not going to be trying to get all lit up before they go into the ring, and
And if so,
even
I
if they do, you're going to find out what happens.
I mean, even if so, okay, say I was your opponent, and I saw you out back blazing on the bong. What would be the worst harm that could come from me letting you do that? Be like, maybe I'll let him slow this stuff down. and beat the shit out of him.
Exactly.
I mean, really.
Not exactly performance enhancing.
No.
You know what I mean? They're like, oh man, I don't really feel like fighting.
You get out there, you like shake his hand, you're like, oh, hey man, come on. No, this is cool. Let's keep shaking hands.
We both got contracts. Why don't you just fall down? So I mean, it's just common sense. I think it's cool. I've heard that good things about the people that are like in charge of that. Here's
Mhm.
Mark Ratner. It says, you know, when we self-regulate around the world, we're going to he calls it the WADA standard of 150. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, it's the standard of the nanogram. So,
Dude, and they want 5
and that's just it,
nanograms.
self-regulating.
They want 5
versus
nanograms for
5.
Colorado.
5.
Okay, for you driving on OUI, I was reading on here, like, the 5 nanograms is what Colorado's been using, which I just kind of mentioned that they were getting ready to throw that out possibly. It's big. If you go to Toca Town, there's actually a 3-page article, not just a 1-page, like usual. It goes on about all the directors and stuff that are resigning and such from that board. That's 5 nanograms. Fighters, what was originally, 50?
Well,
I mean, originally before they
yeah, it was 50.
So 50 nanograms for a professional fighter to be either ixnayed or okay for a fight back before. And we had 5 nanograms for driving. I mean, you can imagine how ridiculous that is. You have someone who's getting paid millions, I mean, regulated by a billion-dollar company, and still is allowed 50 nanograms, and then we're cut at 5. I mean, there has to be some kind of ridiculous difference in that.
Well, it's just, that is a ridiculous limit.
Yeah.
Look at this guy here. This is one of those fighters. His name was Pat Healy.
Mm-hmm.
He is UFC lightweight champion. He smoked marijuana, said about a month before his fight. Did his fight, won the fight, didn't pass the drug test afterwards. He tested positive for 50 or whatever it was. And then he lost $130,000 in fight bonuses because of his positive drug test. When in fact he did exactly what he was supposed to do as far as the fight, showing up, execute, won his fight. And again, it's not a performance enhancing type of substance. It's not like he was out there juicing or using some type of amphetamine or whatever. This is clearly had no effect on his ability or in the ring.
And you stab him.
And just because of a senseless regulation, he ends up being financially hurt like that. A lot of these fighters, at the UFC level anyways, I mean, top level, sure, they get paid a lot of money, but the guys who are trying to come up and whatnot, it's hand to mouth.
Yep.
You know, so winning a fight like this for him is probably a real big deal. Losing that kind of money is a real crushing blow.
Oh, yeah.
So, and a tainted reputation on top of that. Here's this guy now, he's a junkie, whatever, that's the way people want to look at him, and then in reality, he's the freaking champion.
Right, and remember guys, this is smoke pot a month before the fight. Smoke pot. This wasn't like he was out cheating on his wife, banging hookers, and doing coke the night before, and beating up little children.
That's performance enhancing.
Yeah, here you go. I mean, this guy was just a respectable guy, there to work, did his job, you know, came out ahead, and boom, gets punished like that. That's, makes me sick. Like, I can only imagine what his stomach felt like when he heard that. I mean, really.
Hey, this is kind of interesting. Let's pop this up here. Didn't see this before. Oregon legislature gave approval to a bill that would allow people suffering from PTSD to legally access medical cannabis. Said the bill has already gotten approval from the state Senate. So, and this is the House was looking at it as well. So, hey, maybe there's some information there we could use for our own PTSD qualifying condition once it gets resubmitted and we get that new panel up and running. It would be nice if somebody else cracked the ice on this one for us. I don't know if any other states out there have PTSD as an already approved condition, you know, listed specifically, like we're asking for it to be here on our application.
You know what really gets me about the PTSD one?
Yeah.
Is, I could be wrong on this, but like anytime I've ever heard of anyone having PTSD, it usually comes like 99% of the time is from someone who served our country. Whether it was Army, military, you know, Marines, Navy, whatever. That's pretty much what it comes down to, is every person I've ever met that has PTSD, that's what they got it from, being involved in protecting our rights over here as Americans.
Here, New Mexico has it already approved.
Nice.
So, somebody already did crack the ice.
Why is it so hard, though, for someone who protects our country to be able to come back and choose something like medical marijuana?
Oh, yeah, considering that they'll give them all kinds of other stuff that's far more damaging, far more, you know,
you'll
dangerous.
give that person, you know, $50,000 worth of machine guns and let them go, you know, rampantly go crazy.
Well, not that. I mean, when they come back and they are looking for treatment.
No, but I'm saying,
you know,
we let them, the government's the one who gives them these tools to give them PTSD. But
Wow.
yeah, I know they're protecting us. But
I think that's a different argument.
it is. But no, I'm not arguing that we shouldn't have that stuff. I'm just saying, like, we inflict the PTSD on these people by helping them protect our country and protect our rights and our livelihood over here. But by doing that, well, then they get back here and they aren't good enough to say, no, you can't pick your own medicine. You have to take pills. Go for it. Like, you're willing to let them do all that for us, and then you just slap them in the face. For real. I'd be irate.
I'm sure they are.
I mean,
I'm sure they are.
Like, go to the VA and have your doctors tell you that you're a drug addict because you smoke pot. You know, like a 7-year-old guy who fought Vietnam for us. Like, really? You know, I will say though, I do have stories of a fellow patient who has dealt with the VA,
Yeah.
and the surgeons, typical surgeon, medical marijuana, you're a junkie. Take these. Don't take them. Go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Can't remember which one it is. They're highly interested and also curious and also promoting almost in a sense medical marijuana for PTSD. Like the ones I know that do go talk to a VA appointed shrink, they're pretty much all getting told the same thing. Well, you're retired, you served your country, you have a house, you have a normal life, you're definitely not a junkie. So I don't see how marijuana could hurt your life at all. So go and keep up what you're doing. You know, we do recommend that you don't smoke it. And the ones I do know that go and talk to these people, they actually tell them about medibles and different things, the vaporizing and such. And that even makes them more and more interested in learning more about medical marijuana for PTSD. So I mean, it is getting talked about here in the States. It's just not by the right people right now. The doctors are the ones saying no. But yet your shrinks, who are also doctors, are saying, yeah, heck yeah, if it helps you, go for it, yeah. It just really shows you who's against it. It's the ones who got their hand in their pocket.
Oh, yeah. There was a study that had come out in trying to purport that kids are increasingly getting sick from medical marijuana edibles. This is out in Colorado. Kind of interesting. Put the study out, they try to propagate it, but when you go back and look at the information, the study actually says here that kids had been brought into the Children's Hospital in Colorado. Reports had gone from 0 cases between 05 and fall of 09. And then 09 is when dispensaries started to get going in Colorado. And then they had it since 09 and between 2011, so you got 2 years there. They had 14 cases. In 8 of those cases, they said that the pot food was directly attributed to the case. So really 8 cases reported in a matter of 3 years.
Allergies?
Well, no, it says here the researchers admit that prior to 09 they weren't really looking for THC toxicity cases, and doctors also had not been trained to look for these symptoms. So if they had come in after ingesting some food, pot food, doctors prior to 09 wouldn't have known what it was and wouldn't have made a report. So trying to say it's going up, I mean, he had 8 cases in a matter of 3 years. Colorado's a big place.
No. You said
one
pot
thing I guess
symptoms?
I want to,
You said pot-like symptoms, so like, if he comes in the hospital and he's a little drowsy, they might be like, oh, you're eating pot?
No.
I mean, what do they mean? Like, did he have like a forehead sticking out of his, like a thumb sticking out of his forehead or something?
It says here, I guess the one thing I would say here is that, the point is that your edible products need to be carefully stored away, just like all your other medications are.
Mm-hmm.
They are sometimes put into forms that might be appealing to children, so you want to make sure they're properly labeled and that they are out of reach. They should not, your medication should not be in the reach of children, should not be accessible to minors or anyone that isn't licensed for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something you need to be conscious of, that, hey, yeah, normally your medication is not going to be packaged in a brownie or a cookie or a piece of candy. And so that takes an extra bit of caution. We were even talking with one of our caregivers today about changing temperatures and so forth, and patients getting edibles and then leaving and forgetting in the car, and then now their medication's ruined or melted or not as nicely prepared as it had been. So it's one of those things where, if you are one of those patients, you're traveling, you're storing your medication, you just need to be aware that you do have special needs going on with this type of medication. You want to take special precaution to keep yourself legal, keep yourself safe, and keep yourself from, ultimately either losing your medication to improper storage technique or to someone who shouldn't have that medication. Whether it be a minor or someone who doesn't have a card, it's kind of irrelevant. It's your medication, and you are responsible for it. I was looking at the law again today because they had a lot of people talking about the transportation thing again, and it says right on there very specifically that if you have a vehicle that does not have a trunk, your medication needs to be stored in a case that is inaccessible from the people in the vehicle. So it doesn't have to be, in a locked, bared down, whatever, but it does need to be inaccessible, and it does make exceptions for whether or not you have a trunk. So if you can read it for yourself, check it out. Also recommend, if you're growing outdoors, take a good look at the updates that are on the state's website now. You can go to michiganlara.gov and look at the new updates that are posted there. They are directly from the law that was passed back in December regarding medical marijuana grows that are outdoors.
Yep.
Some of the verbiage in there says it needs to be out of sight from an adjacent property when being viewed at ground level or from a permanent structure. So you needs to be constructed out of wood, chain link fencing, or some other type of material. But be aware that it does need to be, from ground level. It needs to be out of viewing from your adjacent. It means the properties that are next to you. They should not be able to see your garden if you're growing outdoors. So right now it's probably not going to be a problem when your plants are nice and small. But when they get taller, something to think about. It does need to be secured on all four sides, and it does need to be secured to the ground. It can't just be sitting there where you can pick up side and pick it up and walk away. It does need to have locks on it, so that the entrance is locked to your little garden area. And there's some more descriptions on there as well. I'd recommend you do read those if you have time. If you're growing outdoors, absolutely read those. You might even want to print them out and laminate it and post it on the inside of your garden. So if you ever got a visitor, here, this is totally legit. I'm following the rules. Here's the rules right here. We don't have any questions. We can move on.
Sounds like you're building a pole barn with no roof on it.
Well, it's kind of like a privacy fence, if you think of it that way, or like a dog kennel. I've seen people use dog kennels where they were able to secure it to the ground using anchors or whatnot, and then put a tarp on the inside, or something like that to protect the viewing. There's also a lot of people I've talked to that said, hey, I don't really have that problem. I've got a fenced-in area that is secure, that is locked, but my neighbors, they really can't see in the area that I'm putting this garden in anyways. So I'm going to just use this type of material that, yes, you can see through the side, but nobody from the adjacent properties can see this area of my property anyways. So yeah, whatever you're doing, I just recommend be safe. It's a lot of work, as you well know, if you've looked into this or if you've done it, and you don't want to have your product end up becoming a legal issue, that's for certain. And on top of that, you certainly don't want to have to worry about it getting stolen or damaged by look at the hail that we had last week. Oh, wow. That was some golf ball sized hail coming down, and if you were watching, you might have lost some product there. I know that I've had some farmer friends who said, man, we really took a beating. The corn's looking kind of tore up. Other things as well, like some of the wheat and whatnot. But your garden can get tore up as well. So it doesn't hurt to have that extra security, not just for legal purposes, but for your own purposes, so that you can have a little bit better success at the end of the day. So if you're going to be gardening, you might as well be putting the work in there, Right? And one more thing. What's our tip of the day, Chad? I think we had a grow tip of the day.
Ooh.
I think it was don't leave your microbial bacteria in your car when it's hot out.
Oh yeah, it stinks.
Stinks to say the least.
I will say though, if you guys are right now, it's a lot of humidity and stuff in the air. I found a new product that I like to use to help prevent powdery mildew. It's just colloidal silver. There's actually a couple companies you can buy it from. They make colloidal silver actually for humans. It's the same thing. It's human grade colloidal silver that I'm using.
Food grade.
Yep, food grade. And what you do is just water with it. There's directions on there. Now I know you can spray your plants to feminize them with colloidal silver, but that's a different procedure. So don't foliar feed with it. Just strictly water your plants with it. Add it to your nutrient base. The one I use is only 2 ounces per 5 gallons. What it does is it will actually go into your plant systemically, and it can actually get into your plant structure and help smother your actual fungus or anything else that could be growing inside your plant, bad pathogens, stuff like that. It is pretty much the same effect as on plants that it does on humans. It's a low cost to get. I think the gallon was like $25. The gallons last me like 2 months so far.
Coming in a powdered form or liquid?
They're actually a powdered form coming out soon. Right now it's a liquid that's suspended in water for you, so it's all ready to go.
So you can mix it in with your water and...
Yep.
Cool.
You can actually drink it or pour it on. If you get a cut in your hand, you can actually pour it on your hand too. Well, you don't drink it straight out of the bottle.
Right.
It's food grade.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, the guy actually I was at the Maxim Mule Expo.
That's a little rich.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I was at the Maxim Mule Expo, and all of a sudden I got this guy who's like one of the owners of one of the companies there. He comes out and he's like, "Oh, you like the colloidal silver?" And I'm like, "I do." He goes, "I use it for everything." He's like, "Keep a gallon in my kitchen, keep a gallon down here." And I'm like, "What do you
Put it
use?"
in my car.
Yeah, he's like, "Anytime I get a cut on my hands, I just wash my hands with it." I'm thinking like, wow, okay, you're the owner of a company, and you're telling me a little freely to just keep, pouring colloidal silver out like it's just regular water. And he's like, I mix it with my drink, I do all that stuff,
I put it in my smoothie.
Yeah.
I wash my kids with it.
So it is good though.
It is
I do
good.
like it. It's a nice little change up from having to use like neem oil and stuff like that, or sulfur.
Sure.
Try to keep a nice healthy base of nutrients going in your plant. Hopefully, whenever I have to fight off anything that comes around afterwards, and keep it. It's like humans. You keep yourself healthy. Hopefully, you get the flu less every year, right?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
That and air conditioners. It's hot.
It's hot.
It's
hot
hot.
and humid. So get those dehumidifiers going. Get them ACs running.
If you haven't
Watch your
got
temps.
If you haven't got an air conditioner yet, I recommend you talk to one of your local HVAC guys. We have quite a few of them in the club that I know of. Talk to them, spit a little bit in their ear, see what they can inform you about air conditioners. Even your grow shops right now actually sell a lot of mini splits nowadays too, but you're still going to want an HVAC guy to help you install that or install it for you, along with electricians. So I recommend that if you are going to look into it, go the proper route. You can buy one of those things and install it yourself and save a little bit of money, but it doesn't always work that easily.
Yeah.
I've seen quite a few people where I had to go over and help them finish installing their ACs. Let's just put it that way.
You want to make sure your electrical's hooked up properly. It's not something you want to fool around with.
Nope.
A lot of those AC units draw a lot of power, and if you're not set up correctly for it, you can cause yourself a fire or blow a panel or something like that. So just make sure you're watching it. Be careful, and if it doesn't look like you can just go home and plug it in, chances are you're going to need a professional.
Yep.
So
Do it properly.
Yeah. I mean, what else we got going on? I know there was.
July 13th. Adopt
Yeah.
the Highway.
Okay, there we go.
Woo!
There was something going on.
Saturday, July 13th, we're going to Adopt the Highway
Right
from
on.
the club. We'll be getting there between 9 and 10 o'clock. We have a video to watch and then take off.
Now, aren't we cleaning 2 sections this time?
We are. This is the first time we're
That's
going to have 2
awesome.
roads. So if you guys are listening around the
2
club,
roads.
we're going to need some extra help this time because we are having 2 roads. The one is M13 between Beecher and West Pearson.
That's our normal
Which
one.
is, that's the one that's right on the border of Genesee
Yep.
and Shiawassee County. And then we have another one which is closer to home here. Actually, right down the street, if you take Richfield down to where it runs into North Dort, and you follow North Dort just up a little bit to Carpenter Road. We start there. It's Carpenter to Pearson Road.
Is it?
Actually,
That was like Carpenter to Stanley.
Carpenter to Stanley. There we go. Sorry, it's the opposite direction. I was just thinking Pearson again.
But
Carpenter
it is
Stanley.
Dort, though, right?
Yep, North Dort.
54, a lot of traffic. It's part of Dixie Highway still, right?
Yep.
So that's a good area for us to have another sign out there. It's obviously another opportunity for us to give back to the community, so we're excited about that,
And
too.
it's actually a dirty road.
Well, yeah, there might be some trash
No,
there.
man, it's good. We you know what I'm saying? I feel guilty sometimes going out to a nice clean road that we keep so clean because we go out there and it's more like a graceful walk because we keep it so clean on a regular that
M13 is pretty clean.
yeah, and the gracious neighbors live out there. They do a good job of helping clean up too. But Dort Highway is really dirty. It's all the recycling centers right there. There's all the scrap yards right there.
Hey, we're cleaning up the road, not society.
No, I know we are, but I'm just saying what we're going to need though is we're going to need some real help, some people who can really get out there and help make this road look like M13 for us. We want to make Dort Highway look like M13 so when we go back in 3 months it's not that dirty. So let's get out there and bust that one up. What do you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, what day is it again? Remind me.
Saturday, July 13th. We're going to get out there and
All
clean,
right.
and then we're going to have food and drinks and such afterwards. We
Yep.
have a nice little hangout always, every time.
Always do.
Yeah.
So put that on your calendars, July 13th, if you would.
Yep, I'm going to
Use
be at
your
both of
help.
them.
Sweet.
I'm going to be at both roads. Oh, at the
He's
same
like
time.
Chadaplicity.
Yep. I'm actually
Awesome.
I'm going to dress someone up to look just like me that day. I'm going to send them to one unit with a phone. I'm going to be at the other one, and we're going to talk to the phones to each other.
Awesome.
Be like, hey, now I'm right here. What do you need?
I got baggies. I got gloves. Cool. Hey, thank you for joining us this week again. It's good to be back in the studio.
Yes.
Thank you, John, for coming and sweating it out with us.
I'm cool back here. You got all the lights on there.
Oh, I
So,
see how it is. Thanks. Now, thanks for joining us this week, guys. We appreciate it. It's always good to be here at flinttalkradio.com. If you have any questions, look it up on the website, www.genesee3c.com.
Or Facebook.
Either
Genesee
way.
Passions.
Facebook it. Cool.
Yes.
All right, join us here next week. Thank you, guys.
Woo!
Peace.